Hello, everyone. Good evening. How are you? How is your weekend going? I will wait a few minutes just for the notification reach the subscribers, and we will start in like 1 minute or two. Okay. Copy and paste. So today we are going to talk about. Hey, Christine, how are you? Hey, how are you guys? So today we are going to talk about the topics of microbiology testing for cosmetics. I asked you guys on the channel on my Instagram, and if you are there, you also would be able to see the results. So I was so happy to see that the majority of you answered correctly. I asked you, do you believe cosmetics are microorganism free or sterile in a way? And most of you said no, like 57% said no, and only 4% said yes. So the correct answer, we start with answering this question, is that cosmetics are not microorganism free. They are not required by law to be microorganism free because they are applied topically. And as you all know, our skin works as a barrier. So some type of formulation, specifically in pharmaceutical side, in the drug side, are required to be sterile or with no type of any microorganism, whether it's pathogenic or non-pathogenic. So, which mean if the microorganism cause a disease or it doesn't cause any disease. So with this question out of the way, in regulation, I will talk about the EU mainly, but I will touch a little bit regarding the US when it comes to microbiology testing. Would it be at all possible to be microorganism free? Yes, it is possible, but it is not needed. That is we have some drugs like injectables, like there are some type of antibiotic that are injectable. Those drugs are required to be completely sterile with no pathogens, and even the parts of the bacteria that may cause a reaction in the body have to be minimal or non-existent at all. So we have those type of formulation, but they are not related to cosmetics, and it costs a lot to make those. So that's why drugs are usually more expensive. So it is possible, we have the technology to do that, but it is not required since the application is topically and our skin is a very good barrier. So I hope that answered your question. Of course, if you have any more question, leave it in the live chat. So in the EU, there are two types of cosmetic when it comes to microbiology testing. We have the Group A and Group B. Group A are cosmetics that are applied near the eye, the mouth, or near mucosal membrane. For example, you ask what type of cosmetic we use in the mucosal membrane, a toothpaste. Toothpaste in general considered cosmetic here in the US, in the EU. And the point is that those group, I will consider group A, have to have less than 100 CFU per gram or per milliliter. What is CFU? CFU stands for colony forming unit, which means as a viable organism cell that is able to give us a colony if we plant it on a petri dish. So that is what it does. It mean. So we must have less than 100 per milliliter or per gram that are able to give us colonies if we try to plant those on a petri dish. The group B for cosmetics is the any type that doesn't fall in the group A, any type of cosmetic applied on the skin, and any other part that is topically applied. Those the limit is a little bit higher since it's far away from your eyes, mouth, and the mucosal membrane. So those limit is 1,000 CFU per milliliter or gram. So that is the main difference between the two. And relying on that, we decide how to do the microbiology testing. So what is microbiology testing? So microbiology testing is to determine that the specific type of microorganism are not present in your cosmetics. There are specific, very pathogenic and have higher risk to cause disease in the human, should not be existing at all in your cosmetic. I have here my notes so I don't forget any type of information that is relevant. So the microbiologist testing can be divided into three types. We have the aerobic microbial count. We have also yeast and mold count and a specific pathogen. The specific pathogens are not allowed, four types are not allowed to exist at all in cosmetic, because even if we apply them on the skin, if we have disrupted barrier, or if we have a small scratch, an infection can happen with those four pathogens. The four pathogens that are not allowed to exist at all in cosmetics are the following: are called Staphylococcus aureus, and we have Pseudomonas aeruginosa, and Candida albicans, and Escherichia coli, or E. coli. Those are not allowed to exist in cosmetics at all. Like, we don't allow even one CFU to exist in those cosmetics or in those products. And those tests make sure that those microorganisms are not existing in the product, and it is required in the UK and in the EU to give the regulatory bodies this information through the what we call the product information file, or PIF. So that is the main category. In the US, it's not legally required, but most companies, I would say, make those tests, because a lawsuit in the US is super easy and costs a lot of money. So that is the difference between regulation in the EU and in the US. And let me check the question. I guess that's why face cream shouldn't be used around the eye. So dedicated eye creams make sense. Yes, that is another reason, actually, to be honest. Of course, a healthy human won't be affected by this a lot, like, unless they have a special condition, like they are on immunosuppressant drugs or any type of this that lower their innate immunity. But in general, kind of, yes, those tests are totally different when it comes to microbiology testing for those products. I forgot another category added to the group one, which is our product targeted towards like population with the age lower than 3 years old. So consider kids. So any kids with any product that is focused or targeted or marketed toward kids below 3 years old, they have to have less than 100 CFU per milliliter or per gram. So that is also considered in the category or group A of cosmetics. So after we made sure that our cosmetics are perfect and doesn't have those four pathogenic, let's say, microorganism, we jumped to what we call the challenge testing. So we made the formula, we added the preservative, but we know, like, with normal use in the hands of the consumer, a lot of introduction of a new bacteria will happen. So challenge testing or also known as preservative challenge testing or effectiveness testing, means that to test our preservative in the product, how good is it to handle artificially introduced microorganism into the formula. Like, we can add it in the test. We actually add artificially some types of microorganism, I will mention them later, to the formula, and check for after a week, after 2 weeks, and after 28 days, to check if the preservative system is good enough to hold the stability of the formula, even if there is, like, some type of product are in a jar, so you dip your fingers in it. So you have to know that your fingers doesn't have to be sterile to use that product, because there is a preservative system that is able to withstand this artificially introduced type of microorganism. So like I said, the challenge testing or preservative efficacy testing is also required in the EU, and in the US is done mostly by brands to avoid any type of risk to human, to make sure that their products are safe. So how the test is considered like a pass or not a pass. A product can pass the preservative effectiveness test or the challenge test if after 14 days we have no increase of any type of fungal or mold. So we have zero increase of fungal or mold that we introduced at first, and we have a sufficient decrease in the bacteria that we added. So the preservative system has to hold the fungal and the mold to the same level we introduce. And let's say we introduce two cells of fungal and mold, they have to stay two after, let's say, 14 days. And if we introduce like 5 cells of bacteria, they need to be reduced, like to say, to 2 or 1 cell. So that is how a product can pass the preservative effectiveness test. So let me check you and tell you the names of actual bacteria. Okay, so the actual bacteria are the same that the one are tested for the microbiology testing, but they add another one that is considered a mold. Let me check you the name if you are interested. 1 second. Okay. The challenge testing. Okay. So the type of bacteria, like I mentioned, Staphylococcus aureus are introduced artificially to make sure that the preservative system can withstand it. Like Pseudomonas aeruginosa as well is added. Candida albicans is added. E. coli or Escherichia coli is added. The new one that is added that is considered specific to the challenging test is called Aspergillus basilinus, which is type of a fungus, and make sure that your preservative system is able to completely stop any type of increase of those microorganisms. For the fungal, we have to stop it. For the bacteria, we have to decrease it. So you might ask, are there any type of product that does not require like microbiology testing and challenge testing? There are type of product that are considered, let's say, can pass those tests. You don't have to do them. Those type of ingredient, I can give you a few examples. One, if it's an anhydrous product, which means it's only contain oils, fat, and waxes. There is no free water, because we know water means life, means microorganism growth. So if the product is just oil, it's totally fine to pass those tests. Another one is if the product is, let's say, packaged and filled in a very high temperature. For example, there are the body butters, lip balm, and all of those that, again, very heavy on oils and waxes, but they are used in a very high temperature. So anyway, the microorganism load will be much, much lower when you are trying to fill the packaging. And the last one, when the product are completely made in a sterile environment. You asked me those questions. Yes, Candida is actually a fungi type, and the Aspergillus basilinus also a fungus type. And what else? The Staphylococcus is bacteria, is gram positive. The Pseudomonas aeruginosa is gram negative, and the Escherichia coli is also considered gram negative bacteria. So your question, Christina, is about having a preservative-free and almost sterile, I would say, product. There is, I think, a Venn made a product that is an almost sterile environment, and they actually made it airtight, so there is no preservative in the formula at all, but it is safe to use because they made sure that the production line and the sterility of the machinery and everything and the raw materials are met to a very high standard. So they were able to make a product that can be in an airtight packaging, literally no air can get in or out, and they use zero preservative. And the product was targeted toward people with very sensitive skin, or they have allergic reaction toward any type of preservative. So that is to answer your question. So yes, those are the main points about the microbiology testing and challenge testing and some of the regulation. Like I said, in the US, there is not legally required to do those because it's so easy to have a lawsuit against a brand or a company that made a moldy or infection-inducing product, I would say. So, but in the EU, it is legally required to include this kind of information in the product information file, which is then submitted to the notification portal in the EU. So yeah, thank you so much for attending, Christina. So guys, if you have any question, those topics are closed. I didn't want to go to extra details. Maybe in future when I can go into details in regulation more, maybe go into type of preservative and any type of mixes of preservative the cosmetic company use. So if you have any type of question, please let me know. If not, the live would be done by now, like in 2 minutes or so. So if you have any question, please let me know. I will wait a little bit, a minute or so, and I will check if I received any DM or anything related to this topic. Okay. So let me check the chat. Okay, live chat here. Okay, so if there is no question, guys, I will end. Okay, please talk about type of reserves and maybe about conservative. Yes, I will make this about again because I'm receiving a lot of question also in the DMs about like safety. It's always coming back and goes the safety of parabens and safety. What are the like risk type of hazard those molecule has with the current exposure? What are we expected to look for and to see? And actually, this type of information I want to mention is that in the EU they are trying to review again methylparaben and ethylparaben, which are considered very widely commonly used. And I think the opinion of the SCCS will be out by the end of the year. I'm not sure the exact date, but when it's out, I will update you, of course, guys, with a reel or a message in the channel, and we will know if they reduce or keep this current safety limit, or maybe withdraw the previous opinion. We will know about this when we have the opinion. Um, hi, how are you? I'm sorry with the name if I'm butchering your name. I'm sorry, guys. Like, I'm so bad with name and even remembering names. So consider this an honest mistake. So yeah, if there is no question, I will end it in 30 seconds now. So I won't hold you guys anymore. Of course, it will be recorded. If you have any question later after the video is up, you can leave it in the comments and I will definitely reply to your comments. So this is the all the information I will provide in this live. And if there is no question, I wish you a good rest to your weekend and a good start to your week ahead. And again, see you in the next one. And as always, stay safe. Bye.